Hello and welcome to another video. So today we are doing the frustrating book tag, and I don't really have to explain much, do I? The title is self-explanatory, so without further ado, let's get into the tag. Number 1 is name a book that you predicted would be 5 stars but wasn't. This is the most kind of disappointing book, because when you go into a book with no expectations and it's bad, then you're like, okay. But then when you go into a book thinking it's going to be one of the top 10 books of that year, and it's not, it's like, okay. So for this one, I actually have 2 answers, and unfortunately they're both by the same author. And those are Passenger by Alexandra Bracken and In the Afterlight by Alexandra Bracken. This one I really love. I can't tell you how much I loved the first 2 books. The Darkest Minds blew my mind, and then Never Fade just killed me, and I was so hooked. I loved every single character, I loved what was happening, and I was just so super invested in the series. And then this happened, and it was like, we hit the brakes, and I just like smashed through the front window. And yeah, that's basically how I felt reading this book. It just felt incredibly underwhelming and not a very good end to what was otherwise a great trilogy. And this one, I started reading it thinking it was going to be on the level of the Darkest Minds series, and it just wasn't. Maybe it's because it's not my kind of story. It didn't click with me at all. I didn't necessarily like any of the characters, and just the story, it wasn't my kind of story. So this one is more disappointing than this one, because at least I like the characters in this one. But I do have this whole duology though, so might have to do something with it in the future. Question number 2 is, what book had a great beginning but an ending that let you down? And I actually had a hard time with this one, because usually if I don't like a book, I don't like it all the way through. So this was a tough one, but I ultimately came to the decision that, whoops, it was probably The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, because the beginning was very strong and it was very interesting, but that very end, you know the ending of this book, the ending was the most disappointing part. I mean, I get it and I understand, look at the light shining on it, but it could have been better, it could have hit different, and it just didn't, so that's why. Number 3 is, do you have a book with a pretty cover but an ugly spine? And for this one, I actually also had a hard time choosing, and I ended up going with The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I always forget her name, even though I love all the books I've read from her. This one, I must say that this cover isn't my favorite from all the covers this book has, but I do like it, and I think it's pretty, except this freaking sticker that's a part of the cover. But anyhow, it's a pretty decent cover. But look at this. It's just black, and it has the title and the author's name in very boring fonts and in a horrible yellow against the black. So yeah, just not my cup of tea. I love this book though. If you haven't read it, what are you doing with your life? Taylor Jenkins Reid is like my new favorite contemporary author, and I love the 2 books I've read from her. So that's like 2 out of 2. Number 4 is, do you have a book series that doesn't match? And I'm guessing this means covers, and yes I do. Can you see the pain in my eyes? Yes, I do. I literally have a whole video dedicated to this, but let's check them out. Why don't we? Let's count how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm regretting every single one of my life decisions. Also, if you haven't noticed, I did reorganize my bookshelf, and I don't know if the video's out already or not, but just so you know. Before we get to the next questions, please leave a like if you haven't already, and subscribe because it really does help my channel. Let's move on.
I have no freaking idea why, because I did this yesterday and I don't remember anymore, but I decided to skip question number 5. It just says skip 5, so I'm skipping 5, and I'm going straight into question number 6.
And number 6 is, are there any books you're certain you've read but can't remember anything about? This is basically why I skipped number 5, because I don't have anything to say. The answer is no. When I read a book, I remember at least like the basic plot. Even if it's a book for school that I skimmed, I remember the basic plot, so the answer is no. What can I say? Number 8 hits close to home, and it's, have you ever recommended someone a book that you really love and they've started telling you everything they don't like about it, and were you bothered by it? And the answer is yes. For a while, I read a lot of younger YA books and I fell in love with them when I was in high school, and I recommended a lot to my sister, who was a bit too old for that demographic and didn't enjoy them as much. But I have one specifically that I recommended to her that isn't necessarily like your typical YA, and it's one that I really enjoy. It's on my 3 top series of all time, and that is Illuminate. I recommended Illuminate to her and she hated it. She didn't finish it. I'm not saying it hurt me, but I'm saying it really hurt me. But I do kind of understand why. It just bothers me because it's the format. It's not written like a normal book, and that's what I love about this book. I love this book so much. It just makes me feel all the happy feelings, and it hurts me so much that I've never gotten anyone to read it and enjoy it. So this is just me being like, please someone read Illuminate and enjoy it with me. I know it's 2021. I know there was a short craze about this on BookTube and that people have moved on, but I haven't. So someone please come fangirl over it with me because I just love it so much and I need to share the love. And yes, it does bother me when people that I like don't like the books that I've recommended, but what can you do about it? Like, just accept it and move on. You know, be hurt by yourself. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I like every book that I'm recommended by someone else, so, you know, it's no one's fault. People have different opinions and different likes and dislikes, so there's nothing you can do about it. Number 9 is, what is your worst experience having lent a book to someone else? And for me, I don't really lend out books to people just because no one wants to read them. But when I do, I've had pretty good experiences because it's either my sister, my brother, or my cousin, which leads us to my worst experience, which was lending my cousin Crooked Kingdom. She had this in her room for a year and she didn't read it. So I just spent a year being like, have you read it? Are you gonna give it back? And eventually I forced her and she did. She gave it back. So it was a happy ending, at least. Even though my dust jacket became really, really deformed because it wasn't on this book for a year, so it was really hard to get like molded back into place, but I think we got there eventually. So I'm being told right now that that wasn't number 9. Number 9 is this one. You know I can't count, so don't come for me. So the real number 9 is, what's an impulsive buy that you've never read? And I have 2 answers for this one. You probably know one of them. Yeah. Need I say more? If you've watched my Judge a Book by its cover, you probably know. And I think I also talked about this one in my autumn book tag. So, and the other one that could be considered even more impulsive because I hadn't read anything by this author before and because it's an adult book is All Our Wrong Todays by by Ellen Mustai. Why isn't his name on the cover? Anyhow, I just fell in love with the lemon and I had to buy it. And our final question, I guess number 10, is how many unread books do you have on your shelf? So let's count. 1, but I don't know if this counts because it's the manga version of this, then 2, then 3, and 4, and that's it. So actually not very many, and that's simply because I'm doing a video right now where I force myself to read my TBR, and you guys can choose which order I read them in, so thank you guys for motivating me to finally read the TBR that I've had with me for over 5 months. So sometimes BookTube does help. So that's pretty much everything I have for you guys today. Please leave a like if you like this video. Comment down below which one of my answers was more surprising to you, or what's been your most frustrating book experience you've ever had in your life. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click that bell button so you get notifications every time I post another video. I post new videos twice a week, so that's every Monday and Friday, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye!